Hello, this is Dave Sugarbaker, and today is the 10th day of September 2023. I have a short reading from Isaiah for you. This is from Isaiah 30, just the 29th verse, and just a part of that, actually. You shall have a song as in the night when a holy festival is kept, and gladness of heart as when one sets out to the sound of the flute to go to the mountain of the Lord. I like that. I know that particular scripture because it was picked up by John Thompson as part of his choral work called The Peaceable Kingdom. And that's how I know a bit of scripture from that and other things like the Messiah, things like that. Anyway, you shall have a song. Somewhere in Africa, there is a tribe that gives each new baby that arrives both a song and a name. That song is sung at every landmark in that child's life. It's their song and nobody else's. It's sung at their birth, obviously. It's sung at their coming of age, at their marriage, at the birth of his or her children, and at their death. That special, individualized song is sung by the tribe. Nothing expresses our uniqueness quite like having one's own unique song. Our culture is not that poetic, or perhaps it's not that musical. I don't know that we would even think of doing that. Then there's the problem of coming up with a unique song for everyone. That's a lot of songs. The Isaiah scripture isn't about having one's unique song. It's about having a song inside you, as in the night when a holy festival is kept. A holy festival. The only one I could think of would be Christmas Eve. And you love the music and you love the candlelight. And in that night, as a holy festival is about to be kept, you have a song. It's about being joyful at going to the mountain of the Lord. And that means going to the place where God dwells and reigns. That's according to the prophets of the Old Testament. The meaning of that phrase, the mountain of the Lord, means the temple on Mount Zion in Jerusalem. The prophets envisioned a future time when the mountain of the Lord, that is the Lord's house, would be the highest and most important place on earth, and people from all nations would come to worship God there. I was reflecting on when I have had a song. I remember visiting California to see my son and to meet my first grandchild. She was a few months old at the time, but she's 23 now and a graduate student in museum curation. Anyway, I showed up at my son's door and he opened it and said, "Great, I'm glad you're here. I should be back in a few hours." And he handed me this little bundle of baby and he left. And I was on my own to figure out from probably 2 decades prior how it is that one handles a newborn baby, or fairly newborn. But I sat for those few hours. My granddaughter slept on my lap and she woke up and would look at me. She had a bottle, but there was a song in my heart. I had heard, on the other hand, on a Friday in February in California that my father was gravely ill. It was my first year of graduate school in Berkeley. So that night, I flew home from San Francisco, where it was 50 degrees at SFO at midnight, to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where it was minus 10 degrees that morning when I arrived. It was a shock getting off that plane into weather that was 60 degrees colder than California. My father died later that day, on Saturday, of an aortic aneurysm. I felt it was important to go to church the next morning, Sunday morning. My dad was the vice president of a small liberal arts college in Sioux Falls. He was the president of the local Kiwanis Club at the time. He was a popular Sunday school teacher. And everyone would have heard the news by Sunday that my dad had passed away. I found on Sunday, as I went to church, that I could talk with others, but I couldn't sing. Talking came from my head, and song came from my soul. And any attempt to sing just loosened the stopper in the bottle of my grief, and it would all try to come out at one time. So it was a month or 2 or 3 before I could sing again. Singing and music comes from a different part of us than speech. Toward the end of his life, dementia took most of Tony Bennett's memories and much of his speech, but he could still sing all the songs that he was famous for. We all know or have heard of Taylor Swift, perhaps the best-known singer-songwriter today. Taylor has just completed the U.S. portion of her Eras tour, in which, in 3 hours' time, she sings 40 of her songs every night. Taylor's mom gives us some insight into Taylor's song creation process. She tells of the day that Taylor, at age 17 or so, got upset about something and stormed off to her bedroom. An hour later, she came out, having written a new song. Music and our creative side in general arises from the emotional part of who we are. When Isaiah says, "You shall have a song and gladness of heart," he's talking about a feeling, not a thought. And this is about feeling joy, feeling that gladness of heart. Now, I don't know about you, but I've known in my life several people who didn't have a song. I think there are some people who have never known what it's like to have a song, or what we would call gladness of heart. They're cut off from the emotional side of who they are. They are the people who could not make a joke if their life depended on it. They are serious people. And I think that would be a very sad life to live. The promise that you shall have a song and gladness of heart is a promise of hope and a release from the burdens and worries of the day. This promise says something about why I think religion is important. It's not a meaningless debate about something like how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. If we understand that we are children of God, as Jesus taught, we have a framework for ethics and values in everyday life. We use love as a way to evaluate human plans and actions. We have a sense of meaning and community. We relate to a tradition, and we can feel a spiritual connection. Religion is not a dry set of rules and punishments for infractions. Religion can give us a song and gladness of heart. Now, God bless. Stay safe. If you find value in this, I'd appreciate it very much if you'd pass it along. Thank you for your time. Bye.